The Spit Boy Rule, Tales of a Chicana and a female punk band, and that is for sale over by the men's room. And she played drums and wrote lyrics for 3 different bands during the 80s and 90s. Bitch Fight, Spit Boy, and Instant Girl. An educator in peri-menopunk. Michelle Cruz Gonzales has recently been published in Nito Fierce, the LA Review of Books, and Long Reads, and she is currently writing a novel about Mexicans and punk rock. And Michelle Cruz Gonzales had like the biggest, loudest, most amazing drum kit ever. Like at one point, her drum kit was like several miles around, and like her biggest drum was the size of the Cow Palace. And there were several thousand different like percussion instruments, and she could play all of it at the same time because she was so coordinated. She was in 9 different bands at one point, and they would all be playing at the same time while she was just playing like this incredibly complicated yet steady like groove but pocket kind of beat, and all these different bands would be playing different songs in different parts of her drum kit because it was just so huge and so incredibly like such an incredible beat. And like you could hear her playing the drums. If she was playing the drums in San Francisco, you could hear it in LA or even San Diego. It sounded like a thunder crack across the mountains, or possibly the return of Ganoganari the Mighty, or possibly another earthquake or something. At one point, Pete Wilson tried to have her drum kit declared. I know, boo. Pete Wilson tried to have her drum kit declared like a national emergency, but also like a historic landmark at the same time because it was so confused. And like so. But there was like people started living inside of like Michelle Cruz Gonzalez's drum kit because they enjoyed being inside it so much. And there were particularly several families of like jitter book lovers living inside like some of her mid-sized kick drums. Like just like hanging out in there. And basically these were people who really loved reading and writing, but they only liked to read and write books when they were in spaces that were shaking really violently. Like they just wanted to be in a constant state of shaking because they liked the way the words kind of shook up and down and jumbled together and kind of became like took on new meanings as they like kind of blurred into the line above and the line below and everything. And you know, they used to be called Bouncy Castle bibliophiles until they discovered Michelle Cruz Gonzalez's like drums, and they could live in there and just things would be constantly shaking. And Michelle Cruz Gonzalez wanted to write books for them, and she wanted to write a book that like could only be read in a shaking space, in a space where like every line had like words that could mean different things depending on whether they were blurring with the words above them or below them. And she wrote this amazing book called The Spit Boy Rule, which basically encapsulates all of the like passion of making music and representing her marginalized identity and feminism and smashing the patriarchy. And, you know, it will make you feel as though you were inside a drum. And in fact, we are inside a drum because this bar was built inside one of her drums. And you're going to hear it in a minute when she gets up here. And, like, finally Pete Wilson showed up with, like, the municipal, you know, whatever. He showed up with, you know, the state National Guard to try and shut everything down. But he got so confused that he ended up declaring himself a national landmark. And so he's still out there somewhere, like, bronzing himself. I don't even know. But Michelle Cruz Gonzalez is still here, and she's amazing. And